Horror is one of the most effective methods of evoking emotion in people. The banging of the boots on the floors of the Spencer estate in Resident Evil. The abandoned feeling you get while exploring the USG Ishimura, knowing that there's only you and whatever alien is trying to kill you on that ship. Or the claustrophobia you get when playing something like Silent Hill, where you can only see 5 feet in front of you because of the thick fog of the town. It's enough to make anyone even slightly nervous. The effectiveness of making someone feel squeamish in their seat or jump at a loud noise is much easier to do than, say, make someone cry, because sadness is something that's temporary, but we as people are hardwired to remember fear, because fear is what keeps us alive. But for fear to work, it can't be scare after scare. There has to be tension, because without tension, the scares just wear off fast. That's why games like Outlast and Five Nights at Freddy's don't maintain a scare, in my opinion. They never really have downtime, because after the first time you get scared, the game just repeats the same little trick, like a dog who only knows how to roll over. It's neat the first time you see the dog roll over, but when you see a guy at the party who keeps showing you videos of his dog rolling over, you just want to smack the phone out of his hand. Maybe that example was too specific, but my point is that you can't keep showing me the same thing back to back to back without giving me a break. That break is important because it gives you time to process what you just saw, because what happens is that you lose tension without that break. You lose that fear because it just becomes part of the machine. It's no longer scary. It's just gameplay. That's where the two games I want to talk about today succeed. Lethal Company and GTFO are two recent indie games that, in my opinion, have perfected the realm of co-op horror in two different ways. This subgenre of horror is very hard to get right, in my opinion, because you are, in essence, taking away the horror when you're able to talk to your friends, because any atmosphere is ruined by the fact that the game essentially turns into either an action game or just a canvas to make jokes with friends.
Let me do my thing, alright?
He's gonna smooth talk him.
Come on, you can do it.
You dumbass. That's why people stop playing games like Phasmophobia, because you can't keep that horror atmosphere when you have friends to talk to. Well, that and the game sucks. Well, that's besides the point. Lethal Company is unlike any other game in the genre, though. For those who don't know, Lethal Company is an indie game about an expendable group of scavengers who go to different moons to sell scrap to the company. You know absolutely nothing about what inhabits these worlds, even the company you work for. All you know is that you have a quota to reach and 3 days to do so. And if you don't reach this quota, well, you'll be fired. However, these moons don't just contain the scrap that you need. They're also filled with monsters that, quite frankly, want you dead. But the possibility of dying to a monster is better than definitely being fired, so it's up to you and maybe some friends to explore and find all the scrap you need while running the risk of finding these monsters. If you noticed, I said group of scavengers, which means you can and probably will play with your friends. And that makes the game special because, like I mentioned, most horror just doesn't work with your friends. When you have friends, you lose that atmosphere that single-player horror has. But Lethal Company somehow keeps this atmosphere the entire time, because you can take as long as you need to relax in between each expedition, but you still have that looming timer above your head in the ship, a constant reminder of your quota that you still need to reach. One of the best things that Lethal Company has going for it is the atmosphere of the entire game. The game just oozes with this feeling of dread. The simple, almost 2D feeling backgrounds mix well with the low render distance, giving this feeling of being stuck in a labyrinth of never-ending hallways that you can't quite see the end of. You hear footsteps at the end of a hall. Maybe it's just your friend that's out of earshot, or maybe it's one of the many monsters that inhabit these moons, and it all just comes together to create this feeling of dread whenever you know you have to go scavenge, knowing that it's not always going to be an easy job, especially when you get to the higher quota numbers. Combining this atmosphere with friends creates an experience like no other. You can go from a group of confident scavengers knowing that they're going to meet quota to the suicide squad in a matter of minutes as you get picked off one by one, and the person you're watching over you in the ship has to just watch, knowing that there's a likely chance that they'll have to pull that lever and go back to orbit by themselves, with everything they worked for being left inside that building while everyone stopped responding to the walkie-talkies. But that doesn't mean Lethal Company isn't a funny game with friends. I have plenty of clips that just end in us laughing hysterically. This game is hilarious when played by the right people. Got it.
The spider's not there right now.
What about those webs?
See some webs.
if we step in it?
Alright, it's there. It's there. It's just fucking spawn. Watch this spawn.
Watch out, watch out! You almost stepped on the fucking mine.
I don't think it could handle that area. Yeah, I think it's just when we touch the webs.
What Lethal Company does is better than a lot of other games in the genre, because the comedy and horror is balanced almost perfectly to where you aren't scared the entire time, but the atmosphere interjects with the comedy, creating this great horror atmosphere that remains effective the entire time you play the game. On the other hand, GTFO is the tonal opposite of Lethal Company. The comedy here is limited, and instead you're subjected from anywhere to 30 minutes to 2 hours of sheer tension that is rarely broken. In GTFO, you're a prisoner, a slave. It doesn't matter because you're sent down into the depths and forced to carry out these tasks for the Warden, with each expedition getting progressively harder. On the surface, this game is similar to Lethal Company, but the game trades the procedurally generated planets with the fine-tuned rundowns and handcrafted levels that all work amazingly. Instead of going up stairs that lead nowhere because the seed dictated that a door didn't spawn there, you have these levels that constantly keep the tension up because it was designed by hand. Also, here you trade having a guy in the chair with terminals scattered across the map, where you have to search to find what you need, and it serves as the downtime between stressful encounters that the ship acts as in Lethal Company. But GTFO isn't just looking around and silently killing or sneaking past monsters. You still have to open certain doors that require security tests, and these tests make a lot of noise. So the tests attract all the monsters in the area to your exact location. This is the Horde defense section of each level. These sections will drain your health, utilities, ammo, and just about everything, including morale, since if you die, you're either sent back to the lobby or the last checkpoint, and depending on the length of the level, it's something you just can't afford, which is why terminals are so important, since they give you the location of packs that restore health, ammo, and utilities, but it's never enough. It's always just a small amount, but any amount helps. And it only gets worse from there, because after you open the security doors, you still have more sneaking around, more killing to do until you reach your end objective. But once you reach that end objective, the level doesn't end. You still have one more holdout. But this time, you also have to make a mad dash back to the start and hold off all the creatures until your ride arrives. And this is where runs live and die, and I love it. It squeezes all the tension and stress of the level together into one big adrenaline rush, and the rush quite literally being a mad dash to the start of the level and then a holdout. It's one of my favorite parts of any level in this game. You do all this work just to remember that you're still just an expendable slave to the Warden, a cog in the machine. You easily can just die and will be replaced. If you do make it out, you're not given a party or even a celebration or a congratulations. You're told to ready up and go deeper and do it again. I could keep describing the gameplay of these games, but I feel like it'd be way more fun to consider the why you're doing it, not the lore, but the reason you're here thematically. Expendability is a central theme in these games. It's constantly shown and explained to the player that you're nothing under this machine except a replaceable piece of machinery, and it really feels like it's supposed to be a critique of real life, albeit an extreme example, but a critique nonetheless. Lethal Company shows the cruelness of companies under late-stage capitalism, using people as expendable scrap collectors, knowing that they'll either die from the monsters or not reaching their ever-increasing quota. These people essentially live off scrap. Sometimes you can't even afford flashlights, yet you still have to go in and reach that quota, because if not, you're definitely dead. On the other hand, GTFO feels like a critique of the prison system and how it's essentially legalized slave labor, where the warden just demands you to either go deeper and deeper to get what he wants, or you die in the process. You have no choice. You are but a slave to the warden's demands, and if you're lucky, you come out unscathed from one expedition just to get put in another one, where you're more likely to die. But it doesn't matter. The warden can and easily will replace you. All that matters is the warden gets what the warden wants. In my opinion, both of these games succeed in their goals, and then some, which is why I believe that these games' respective approach to horror works so well. Other games just have the theme of scary or horror with nothing to really back it up. It's scary for the sake of being scary. But I feel like the fact that these games have thematic elements that are so reflective of the real world makes it even scarier, because every time you look in the news, you see another company just laid off X amount of employees because they were too costly, and the CEO that just signed another bonus thought that they were truly expendable. What's the harm in firing a few hundred people? They're hurting my bottom line. I need that bonus. They serve no purpose other than to create my product so that I get paid in the long run. It's framed as a hard decision by these CEOs, but at the end of the day, we all know it's not. We know that the money signs in their eyes far outweigh the need for humanity, because at the end of the day, money speaks for itself. Money is fear, and fear keeps us alive. I just want to say thank you to anyone who made it to the end of this video. It's greatly appreciated. And I just want to address some things about this video. I already know I'm gonna get some comments saying that the games aren't that deep, man. It's not. Which to that I say, nana nana boo boo, death of the author. But yeah, I mean, thanks for watching this video. This one took me a minute to make because I kind of scrapped the video in between this. I didn't like it, and I kind of lost all the footage as the thumb drive exploded. But other than that, I mean, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.